Hey, everybody. Welcome to Don't Make Me Come Back There. We are a funny podcast about family. My name is Dustin Nickerson. I'm a stand-up comedian and the host of the aforementioned podcast. And alongside me in our state-of-the-art recording studio above Public Square Coffee in downtown La Mesa, California is my lovely wife, my co-host, my overall best friend, Melissa Nickerson.
Hey there.
Who is dressed. She wore her doily to work to school
always.
today. I can put a little... It's nice. Looks hand-knit.
I mean, I don't know if it was.
Also alongside us is television's Derrick Stroup, ladies and gentlemen, is with us. You've been on the Tonight Show, and you've been you did the thing with Nate, the Christmas special.
Yep.
But on the marquee of American Comedy Company, it's Comedy Central.
Yeah, the Comedy Central. Hey, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. But yeah, did 10 minutes for Comedy Central, and that's my biggest credit. With the club. But yeah, I'll go with it. I don't mind as long as it's not completely made up. I don't mind leaning one way or another. You know?
Did you ever make up any credits?
Oh no, I don't like that. I don't like when somebody says. I've had people go, "Well, I'll just say you did something."
Yeah.
We're not gonna. You put Comedy Central up there, and if they would have put special under it, that would have bothered me. But just Comedy Central, I mean, we're not really lying here, you know. So whatever lures them in, you know.
Yeah, that one of the nice things about getting your first credit as a comic is that. What do you want me to say? And forever, you're like, I don't know, man.
I know.
He's a great guy.
Yep.
Finalist in San Diego's Funniest Person.
That was mine. Mine was Denver's comedy competition. Yeah, for years. Yeah,
Runner
up. Yeah, exactly. Top 5 finisher. But no, it is nice to have actually. But I've never. It has never not felt weird giving somebody my credits under any situation.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to say that I've never. It always feels weird.
Yeah.
Like I know we have to because you need to, they have to have something, and you should let people know the work or yada. But it always feels gross to me.
Yeah. I get it. The time that I want it the most is like a corporate gig.
Yes.
When you want them to know, like,
so much.
Hey, I'm a real comic.
Yes. I think that's the only thing I've ever added to, where they were about to go up and I go, oh, hold on. I've done some more stuff. I want you to tell them. Is that a corporate? Because I need all the padding that I can get.
Oh, yeah. I know. I'm going to be like, we got a real guy. This isn't just like a guy that works here and wanted to do comedy. This isn't a guy we got off a gig salad.
Yeah, that's right.
Something that I definitely did a few gigs on. Okay, so I want to start here. I don't know your timeline of where you're from.
Yeah.
When you're from, where. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Why,
because
how?
you came onto my radar. You were opening for John.
Yep.
Which I toured with John for years, and then kind of the new rain came in, and then so I knew you were based in Denver, and then I think I met you in Denver. I did like a one-nighter downtown, and you did a spot, and then I think I assumed you were in Nashville for a minute there. Now you're in New York, and then you're from the South.
Yeah.
Where? How?
Okay, so I'm originally from Harvest, Alabama, which is right outside of Huntsville, Alabama. And then 2015, I moved to Denver. I lived
for comedy or
for comedy, yeah. And because in Alabama, I ran a bar for about 5 years, and I did comedy. I put myself up on stage there about once every 3 or 4 months.
Right.
There were no open mics. There were no other comedians. I just, wanted to do something fun. Sam Hunt and Riley Green were coming up and regulars at the bar I ran in this small town in Alabama, and I wanted to get on stage and have an outlet. So, once every 4 months, I did that for about 3 or 4 years, and in 2015, I moved to Denver, and that's the first time I went to an open mic, first time I'd met another comedian, and kind of immersed myself in that world.
Why Denver?
Well, I was dating somebody at the time that went there for massage therapy school, and we broke up because she moved to Colorado, and then she reached out and she was like, I think you would love it here.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even necessarily about us dating again as much as she was just knew I was in Alabama working for my dad's landscaping company. And she was like, I think so. We went out there and we tried to date again. And that's kind of what brought me to the state. But I also did a little research. I saw that Comedy Works was there. And, I'd heard of Sam Talent and that sort of thing. So I knew that interest was there for comedy and the opportunities were there. So that's what kind of brought me there.
Yeah, that checks out. Your path is very like the way you're bouncing around. It reminds me of you because did you grow like she was a military kid?
Yeah.
But did you grow up in that one little city?
No. I mean, I was born in West Virginia, so I was born in Charleston, and that's where all my family lives. And then when I was 9 years old, my dad got a job in Alabama. And so we moved to Alabama when I was 9, and that's where I was raised. And so it's interesting, West Virginia and Alabama. What a mix of a human.
Who lives in New York now?
Who lives in New York
Little time
now.
in Colorado.
Yeah, I spent 10 years in Colorado.
You're like a kitchen under the kitchen sink. You're like what all the leftovers just kind of thrown into.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Denver was actually somewhere that I loved. I would live there maybe the rest of my life if I wasn't a comedian. I loved the place.
Right.
Colorado was I loved the weather, the city, the sports teams, all of that. I mean, I for sure miss the South, the food and that. But yeah, I mean, I've bounced around a little bit, but Alabama was where I went to school, was raised. Yeah.
Where's home? What do you consider home?
For sure, I consider home Harvest, Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah, even though, I mean, all my family lives in West Virginia except for my siblings, my parents, and I've got some grandparents, but the rest of them literally all in that one state.
Okay.
But Alabama would be home for sure.
Yeah. So how far outside of Huntsville?
It's about 15 miles. 12 to 15 miles.
So close.
Perfect distance.
Yeah. So you would go in.
Bad.
Oh, yeah.
To the big city.
Yeah. And it's what's great, and I'm thankful for that because I've met people who weren't close to a big city, and I'm glad that I have that pivot. Like, we grew up out in the country, surrounded by all kinds of agriculture, but it took me 10 minutes to get to a pretty large size city, which is I think a good balance. Yeah.
10 minutes from NASA.
I mean, half the people I went to school with, their parents were farmers. The other half, their parents were rocket scientists.
This is the craziest thing about Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah,
crazy.
We've been there, and we have friends who moved there and that do hoops.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like tech guy all the way. And it's like you go in the coffee shops and you're like, this feels like Seattle.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's Huntsville people, what we do immediately is if you don't know anything about Alabama, we're going to tell you we're from Huntsville, and then we scramble to explain how different it is. I go, I'm from Huntsville. It is not like the rest, and it's not like we hate the rest of Alabama, but Huntsville is not the same as the rest of Alabama.
Yeah.
It is full of engineers. I mean, it is full of tech people.
Yeah.
I mean, most engineers per capita of any city I know 5 years ago. That was something that we hung our hat on. But such a unique place. And so it created this dynamic where I grew up with a lot of like guys dressed in camo, spitting in a dip cup that just got done working on a missile. And you don't see that anywhere.
No. This is not. This is gonna sound like hyperbole. It's not. I saw a house in Huntsville, 2 flags. Confederate flag, gay pride flag.
Only place in the country you might see.
Only place in the world.
The world. You're so right. But you saying that is like that's the most Huntsville thing ever. Yeah. Isn't that wild? Can you even make that make sense?
No. There's no place there's no place that would hold those two ideals other than Huntsville, Alabama.
For sure. And I tell y'all have been there, and you can vouch for this. It truly is. It's a great city. I mean, it's pretty plain Jane, but I love that about it's not a wild place. It's pretty straight laced overall, but not like, over the top. It was a great place to grow up. I can't complain.
So my kids, for 3 little San Diegans, have spent a surprising amount of time in Alabama. Because there was a camp there that still there. There is a camp there. There's a camp there called Hope Heals that we would go and volunteer at. And we got connected with them a long time ago. We couldn't go this year just because we're busy with Joel graduating stuff. But our kids love the camp, love the people. Hated Alabama in July.
This
is so I've wanted to talk. I'm very excited to have you on because when I think of summer, I grew up in Seattle. You grew up everywhere. Summer was unbelievable. School's out. Let's go outside. Let's just go spend the entire. It's the nicest time of year in Seattle. What is summer break like as a kid in Alabama? It's miserable.
Okay,
you're just used to it?
Yeah, you get used to it, but you're constantly, it's either water, like any water, pool, river, lake, or inside. So the thing that I didn't realize until I left and came back is the coldest part of Alabama is inside of buildings. Everywhere is 61 degrees because everywhere is 100.
Yeah.
So I went back, being in Denver for 10 years and being out west, not AC isn't running in every building. You kind of get used
it's not running in this room.
To a breeze. It is not. It is not. This is a great example of Alabama. But they use a breeze, or you lift windows. But that's one thing about humidity is you can't run from it. Shade doesn't matter. People go.
Can't run from it. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, people go, man, it's hot. Let me find a tree. In Alabama, you go, well, we'll die under that tree, just like we'll die out here. It doesn't matter either way. But yeah, it's insufferable. That's why I grew up playing football like everybody in Alabama, but I hated it.
Are you doing like 2-a-days in Alabama in August?
Yes, I mean, and this breaks Alabamians' hearts. I mean, it really did, because I'll go, I grew up playing football and I didn't like it. I mean, you enjoyed Friday nights and the team and all of that, but I'm talking about August 2-a-days. It was a nightmare. I mean, I would throw my helmet off and just complain. I mean, nonstop about how hot it was, how much I'd been sweating. There wasn't enough water.
You're also the loudest kid, right?
By far.
They could hear you.
Yeah. I mean, my football coach took me to the theater department in the middle of practice. He walked in and he went, "Hey, can y'all do something with him?" He would rather be here than on the football field, because he caught me doing his impression. He walked into the locker room and I was in there going, "Hey, everybody, if you want to cut it right there." And he marched me up to, so I actually joined theater the next semester, and I made good friends, learned how to play hacky sack.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah.
I bet that broke that coach's heart to see a boy your size.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
An Alabama boy who he probably spotted as a big 6th grader.
Oh man, you know how this works.
Yeah.
It's
like,
so
we
funny,
got our eye on him.
Yeah. Hey, don't charge him for double portions. You know what I mean? Yeah. It'll pay off.
I got a guard graduating in a couple years.
Exactly. I mean, I loved basketball so much because it's such an emotional sport that plays into. But yeah, you're so right. I mean, I probably let down, even though I was decent at football. They wanted me to be want to rip somebody's head off.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make fun of everybody.
You wanted to be on the stage.
That's right.
Talk.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
They're like, put that helmet on and shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
That coach died a little that day. Just it dropped you off in the theater.
Yeah. Can you imagine him walking by the theater classroom and I'm in there playing hacky sack, catching it on my chest, and he's just staring at me?
I'm surprised he knew who the theater director was.
Yeah, I'm surprised he even pointed you that way.
Yeah,
Good coach.
Mr. G. Yeah, I mean, my coaches were good people overall, so I got lucky in that regard. But yeah, I mean, marched me right up to the theater department. Yeah.
Get this boy some tap shoes.
Yeah, and I was still, like I said, I have to say, I was still a decent ball player. I was still pretty good, but I did,
It's a fun thing about guys. We do this, by the way.
No,
this is
I'm
going to get done with the podcast. Yeah. Everybody's going to be like, Stroup didn't like contact.
Stroup was a dancer.
Yeah. That's really my word. No, I wanted to hit people, but I wanted to be, I wanted to be heard.
I know exactly what you're doing. Yeah. I heard it. Because this is a thing that happens. I'm working out a bit on it right now.
I love it.
When I'll be like, my son's a D1 athlete, and people look at me and they go, "Really?"
Yeah. Yes. Really?
I didn't even tell you a sport. They go,
it's the glasses.
They go, I just don't see any sport from you. I don't see a single sport.
That is so
where
funny.
It might have worked. As a matter of fact, I do a lot of sports jokes and in my content and stuff, and half the comments are people like, "Oh, what's this about, chess club?"
Yeah, they don't even listen to what you're talking about.
No,
you're like giving inside information on the Mariners, and they're like, "Look at this nerd. Nobody wants Pokemon."
Yeah. I mean, I also play Pokemon Go.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Dustin caught a stray on that one.
No, I was playing for it while I waited for you, and I was like, downtown is a good spot to be. I don't get the downtown Pokemon a lot. So it's funny you say we're.
Awesome.
So we drove by our son's high school, and we were talking about, well, we didn't see the stadium, but we were talking about last day of senior year. And he was talking about, like, that's like a surreal day. You're like,
a day I still remember.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the first time, and I mean, Dustin had an even better line. What was it? Your introduction into melancholy?
Yeah.
Like the first day you look around
This
and
is why people don't take me serious with sports, because I can use a word like melancholy every once in a while.
Yes.
I'm good with words.
Yeah, I mean, that was the perfect, I'm gonna describe melancholy in 46 words. Even though they've already got a word for it. But no, that's it.
Hey, I like to hit too.
No, I really remember the last day of school looking around, and some people you're glad you're never going to see again, and then some people you're like, it's kind of crazy I'm never going to see Tyler in English ever again for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It is surreal.
I'm impressed you thought that way as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, I did.
My son does not.
Oh, man, I cried when my childhood best friend left for college, and Jeremy may not know this till this day. This could be a big moment. I mean, I cried. Yeah. I was so upset because we had been together since the 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then we hung out every day that summer before we went to college. And as boys and men, we just hold it down here. Yep. And so the whole summer, I never thought about Jeremy going to a different school. Oh. And then I saw him drive off, and I mean, I was sitting there so upset. Yeah. And then, you know, you get over it, you make other friends, and we're still friends to this day, but I'm saying it is such a crazy time in your life when you look back on it.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think our son it's kind of coming out more like as like a lethargy or like...
Melancholy?
No, he's
we can use it again.
like he's like unmotivated. Yeah. Right? Like we're like, dude, the alarm's been going off for like 15 minutes.
I think it's because he ran 500 miles this spring. I think he's tired.
No, he might be. He might be.
Tired. We're all tired. It's like, but I think he is like, oh my gosh, like this is it. Like turn in your laptop, turn in everything.
It's a weird time, I was writing him pretty hard about like, man, come on, boy, you gotta, you're doing the dad stuff, like keep that effort and keep it going. And then we did a college visit, and I had to watch his workout one day because I had to take him. He was visiting Monterey State, and I went, and so we had to go look at the little track there. And he's like, all right, I got to do a warm-up. And he just knocked out a mile. That was the warm-up, just piece of cake warm-up. And then he's like, okay, so I have to do 2 800s at 2:10 pace, so minute 5. And he's like, and I have to do 4 sets of those. And then I have to do 400s on minute 5 pace. I have to do 4 of those, and then a 2-mile cool down. And I was like, you've done more in this hour and a half than I've done my adult life. And I'm like, you're so lazy, impressive. Boy.
Yeah. Push. And it's so funny that you were doing, and then you circle here and you go, let me see what I'm pushing him to do. And then you go, that's a lot.
By himself. Yeah. This is on a college visit. Like, that was,
but for you to be that kind of, that's like a high emotional EQ for an 18-year-old. Because I do think, and maybe it's different with phones. How old are you?
40.
So we're the same age. Joel, in his mind, he's like, he's got some kids who are going to be going to school near him, like hour and a half. He's like, we'll stay in touch. And in my mind, it's like, you're never going to see these kids again. But maybe they will now.
Yeah. Maybe they will. It is much different, I think, with your phones have brought us closer.
Yeah.
Distances aren't nearly as, FaceTime. But back in the day, and I think this was like 2003 or something, it was a different feeling. Like, you were going to call each other sometimes, but you weren't going to see each other. Facebook didn't exist yet.
No, it came when we were in college.
That's right. I can remember. Yeah.
Did you go to college?
I did.
Where'd you go to school?
Jacksonville State University.
Jacksonville State University.
It's in Jacksonville, Alabama, home of the Gamecocks. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's Division I AA school in a town of like 10,000. Great place to go to school.
It's really crazy fun. The sizes. You've lived in every size city.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I mean Jacksonville was. 10,000 people. I liked that maybe the most. That was like, I really enjoyed. That's like the right amount to me. Now I don't feel that way. At the time, I felt that way. Now, I love the city. I love being where the action is.
Yeah.
Even though I don't party or anything, but I like to be around it.
Was the city that you grew up in like what was it called again? Outside of Huntsville?
Harvest.
But it's Huntsville.
It's a suburb right there.
Is that the type city that people leave to go like off to college, or do you get a lot of people staying, or really, because when I think of small towns, which is like our Alabama, part of me is like, these people who kind of stay in the community and they get jobs here and their families live here for decades and decades and decades. But if you're near Huntsville, NASA, like what was the percentage of like your peers that like went off and left versus stayed?
And I don't know compared to other places, but for us, especially with the demographic of people, it was pretty split. I grew up around some really country rural folks that maybe didn't have as much and more traditional skilled labor, and they're actually doing just as good as anybody, because we're part of the generation that got lied to. That was skilled labor. You need to go to college. Weld. Now all the welders have RVs. And beautiful homes.
Ends up unions. And helpful.
100%. So it was a good mix because I grew up around some highly intelligent kids whose parents very educated, very motivated, so they all went off to really nice schools, and some other folks that hung around. So I would like to think like a healthy mix. I mean, my high school and my school growing up was like a good look at the world. I mean, our spectrum was huge. And my school was probably like 70-30 white to black, maybe a 65-35, a good balance, almost right down the middle.
Yeah, that's great. That's and it's certainly kind of like what you're saying when you're like stereotypical Alabama. You do a lot of, and I see it in some of your act too. There's a lot of audiences and people in general like what do we make of this guy?
Yeah, that's right. I play into that, and that's why I love doing comedy somewhere like New York City. Because I always feel like
you immediately stand out.
Exactly, and I've got them on their heels right off the bat because they don't know what to do with me.
Right.
Like a joke that I said recently that I love that kind of helps me fill the room is I go with this. It's a tough time to have this accent. A lot of people are projecting. And I go, if I ask if we're in Chinatown, I better be right. And that joke helps me fill the room because if you groan and get upset, then you're listening to my accent. There's no victims in that joke. That's me punching at myself going, when you sound like me, here's something you can't say. And so
crowds do that though. Crowds will hear words.
Exactly.
And they're not like, wait a minute, was there a victim in that joke?
They're like,
you said too many of the words that I don't like to hear. And you're like, oh, okay.
That's right.
That's so interesting because you grew up in a similar kind of environment, and you
redneck parents.
Yep.
Well, dad.
But like in a in a bit of like a coastal elite city, a coastal elite city in Seattle.
Yeah. But my house was nothing like that.
No, and most of Washington State and Oregon aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know about the
cities.
West Coast rednecks?
Not the West Coast. I would be more familiar with like the Pacific Northwest, where I would see more of that than like the West Coast. I mean, like Sacramento seems like very agricultural and some of that area.
And a lot of state workers since it's the capital and stuff. I mean, California is like so many states. There's there's the big cities and then there's the rest of the state.
That's right.
When you drive California, you're like, it's all farms out here.
I have with John. I have drove a lot of the state, and I could not believe how much farmland. I mean, it went on and on and on and on, and then, but I mean, the answer's there. We all kind of know it subconsciously. All your food says California.
100%.
If you ever read your anything, it came from California.
You think that orange came from Colorado?
I mean, that's not a chance.
That mountain orange.
That's right.
No, it's no. I always point out in Hank Williams' "Country Folk Will Survive," he mentions California.
He does
because that's they're everywhere. So my family was coastal Oregon. Like Coos Bay, which we've had people comment on here like Coos Bay is not like a small little rural town. Well, my dad was born in 1951.
Yeah.
It's changed in the last 75 years.
Absolutely.
So like it was a lumber town. So it was all people who worked from the mill.
Yeah.
My dad was a carpenter, but similar to what you were talking about, like he took a union job and went and worked with Alaska Airlines and stuff, and that's what brought him. He went up to when Alaska Airlines got started, it was just the Alaskan airline. It was they just did the Alaska cities.
Gotcha.
They did Fairbanks, Anchorage, Juneau, I think Nome. There was a couple of them. This is not important.
Yeah.
And then they expanded.
I don't know any of them.
And then they expanded to Seattle, which is how I got born in Seattle. But like my house was my dad and my Uncle Butch and
Uncle Butch.
Yeah.
I mean, I already know that name's great.
100%.
I can tell.
Yeah. So there were 3 James Nickersons in my family: my grandpa, my uncle, and his kid. Only none of them went by James. There was Jim Sr., that was my grandpa, and then Butch, and then Butch had Tater. So it was
Tater.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
His name was.
No, I get this. Yeah. I knew he had a real name. I know what Tater is. Yeah.
We can't have 3 Jims running around.
No, we gotta have a Tater.
Butch and a Tater. So there was Jim, Butch, and Tater, and that was like the lineage of men on that side. And then my dad, Don. But like I lived in like Seattle, but south of Seattle on Federal Way, and Butch drove a lifted Chevy Silverado and walked around in a giant Terry Labonte cornflakes jacket.
I love
like
that.
my dad.
Terry Labonte.
Yeah. I was a Bobby Labonte guy, personally. The old interstate car. I was more, because
I was a Mark Martin guy.
There you go. Yeah. So you were over, but no, you didn't go full Jeff Gordon.
No.
But you were on that team. We were Hendricks in our family. My dad was an Earnhardt guy. I mean, I did the
my
bit
dad too.
But I do the bit about it. But it is true. It's like I've seen my dad cry twice, and it was when Dale won. And when Dale died.
It was the most relatable bit for me because my dad, Bill, huge Earnhardt fan. I mean, he cried when he died. I mean, I remember the day.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom was really upset as well. I mean, the whole house was somber.
Yeah. It was so sad.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it was a lot of people's John Wayne, if you will.
But a real one.
A real one.
Yeah.
I mean, and so
we didn't have the Genghis Khan.
Exactly.
Genghis Khan sighting that old John Wayne had. Yeah. But yeah, so I think maybe similar to you, like maybe we're different cities you're in. Like I never really felt like the people around me, but it helped me kind of adapt anywhere.
Absolutely. I feel that way for sure. I mean, it's so interesting hearing you describe that because, I mean, I wouldn't think that somewhere even close to Seattle, Washington would have an Uncle Butch and a Tater. And that type of love for Hendricks racing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I that helped. Growing up in Huntsville with just the dynamic of people and NASA and then the farmers, it's helped me adapt. Everywhere because in school I was dealing with all walks of life in that regard.
Yeah. What do your folks think about the big city comic?
My mother is much more hip. I was raised by a great lady. She's an accountant. Stacy's an accountant. She's a lot of fun. Stacey. And
your dad
loves the big city. She loves meeting new people and getting out. And Bill is not coming to New York. Because he thinks he'll get mugged. And
you only get mugged if you go downtown. So.
I mean, so it's very much that dynamic in my house. Bill is like a lot more of like a conservative, strict, and my mother is much more of a loose, happy-going. I really don't know what words to use. I'm dancing around here, but Bill and Stacy are different.
This is Bill. I mean, Gillis had that great bit about how you want a Fox News dad, not a Fox News mom.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. That's the household I was raised in. I mean, I'd be out there kicking a soccer ball. My dad'd be like, "Weird way to come out," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's just a soccer ball, it's not, and so that's the dynamic. And my mother would go, "Bill, do not ever say that again." And so that's kind of the house.
How did he handle the switch from football to theater?
Oh yeah, I don't think he ever knew. You know what I mean?
We just flew under the radar.
That's one of those things where I don't think Stacy would share that. With him. But it's also it's fun to I talk about it on stage, the dynamic, and I mean, surprisingly enough, so many people were raised by Bill.
Well, if you have now, my dad is not like necessarily politically one leaning to the other, but he is kind of your classic like. Reserved man, like, what is he, Gen X, boomer? What are our parents?
Our parents are...
If he's in the 70s, he's a boomer, right? Like, very reserved, like, He is so proud of me, and he will never tell me.
Yeah.
He'll tell anyone.
He'll tell everybody
he
else.
sees.
Yes.
Anyone he sees.
My
but
father's
him.
identical. Yeah. Same way.
Jessica, my sister, and I will be like, I'll call her and be like, hey, Dad told me that he loves you.
That is, I'm going to say, it's hysterical. I wish it wasn't the case, but it is very funny.
This is boomer parenting.
But it is, my mother is the one that relays all of that.
Yeah.
She'll go, your dad, before you got here, he was sharing all your stuff online. And he was so proud. Yeah. And then I'll walk in and he'll go, you still up there yapping on stage? And I'm like, come on, man. You know what I'm doing and you enjoy it. But I don't know why. I think we have to blame it on their parents and then their parents.
Oh yeah. I don't.
They're a hardened generation, though.
There's an old Oscar Wilde quote. He says, "When you're a child, you love your parents. When you get older, you resent them, and then sometimes you forgive them."
Yeah.
And this is what you're saying. When at a certain point, you go like, "I get it."
Yes.
You were raised by Jim.
Yeah.
My dad's dad, Jim, Butch's dad too. He ran the way he made his money in his town is he ran underground illegal gambling rooms in the house and sold his pain meds. That was my a
real rascal.
This is my dad's. Probably not the most compassionate, gentle man you've ever met as far as raising a boy goes.
For sure.
And Isla was.
They were all Great Depression parents. So
I'm just saying his wife was as tough as nails.
Yeah. No, my grandma, we joke about this in my family. My grandma Isla, she would hug you and be like, don't do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel nice.
That's
the way you're always cold.
Yes.
You've never warmed up since the Depression.
That's so funny.
So I think exactly what you say is correct. I'm like, I know you're proud of me. It's not because you tell me that, but it's because you tell us this. So this is
because you tell Uber drivers.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say this. So this is somewhat adjacent and relevant to the fact that we're on Nateland. So my dad came to my shows in Eugene because he's back in Coos Bay. He lived with us for 10 years. Came to my shows in Eugene, which if you know is like 2 hours up from the coast. It's kind of Central Oregon, and I see him and I'm checking him into his hotel, and he does like to tell people that I'm a comic, which I hate. Yeah, I don't like when people tell it.
Thanks a lot, Dad.
And he goes, I'm just checking him, a big famous son comedian.
Oh, gosh.
It's proud, but also sarcastic. And she goes, you're a comedian?
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes, do you know who Nate Bargatze is?
My goodness.
And then my dad goes, I know who he is. I've been to his shows. He gave me a bottle of wine because my dad went one time.
Went in the green room.
And then they
funny.
talked about Nate for 10 minutes. I'm like, Dad, I'm right here.
Yeah, that is so. And never moved the conversation over to you.
Never.
That is so great.
I know him because my son opened for him. And his podcast is on his network. Nate was at my son's Tonight Show. They're buddies.
That is
None of it came up. They just talk about how great Nate was.
That is so
great. And I'd like to think that, that's like a new goal for me, is that like if I can 15 years down the road from a career have an opener for me, have his dad talking about how great I am.
Yeah. No, that is the ultimate compliment. and really somewhere in there is your dad is so proud of you. He doesn't realize he's speaking for you. He's beaming and going.
It's true.
He almost talking through you. But that sounds like something that my old man would do as well.
Right after, so he didn't watch. He watched my show from the green room, and I walk out and I go into the green room. And he goes, and I was like, it was a great set. And I was like, I feel really good about this. And he goes, ooh, you were up there a long time. Hour 5.
What a dad comment.
Yeah, and he was complimenting me because he couldn't even imagine. But what do we have time-wise, by the way? I forgot to start the clock.
I didn't
38.
Start the clock.
38. All right, let's do 7-8 more minutes. We got a couple questions.
I do have a couple questions.
I want to ask the first one. So, so this one.
Oh, man.
This is.
My sister texted me again.
Okay, so
I can't wait to hear it.
So this ties in all nicely. So Melissa has a sister named Sarah, and Sarah married a man named Laney Stroup.
Oh wow!
And Laney is from Alabama.
Okay.
And they are convinced that there's some family lineage here, and that this is like a big deal that they would be related to you.
Yeah.
I take it a little personally because, like, well, I know for sure a comic you are related to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
do you want to hear her argument?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know how we're going to track this down.
Okay.
Are there Stroups in Alabama?
Not that I know of.
Really?
This is the first one I've ever heard of.
Same spelling or no?
Same spelling. I'm certain he is related to me because they have similar features. There's a Stroup cemetery in Danville, Alabama, in Morgan County. Is any of that ringing a bell?
No.
I got more.
All right.
Stroups have been in the iron business in the U.S. since the 1760s.
That's right.
Jacob Stroup came to Alabama in 1840 and built a forge near Anniston. His son Moses built Tannehill Ironworks. I'm sure Derrick has heard this.
No, I haven't. But I love to hear this type of stuff. Now, here's a little twist that like throws a wrench in it.
Are you like an O Stroup or something?
I don't know the Stroups.
Stroup.
Oh.
So I don't know my biological father. I know of him. I don't know him.
Oh, okay.
So I know some of the Stroup history, and it's more of like the Pennsylvania Dutch, Northeast.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that, because there's also a lot of Stroups in North and South Carolina. There's some, I didn't know there were Stroups in Alabama, but it being spelled the same way, it makes it a possibility. But I do not, I have never met my biological father. I don't know him. So yeah, then that's just kind of part of my story. I kept even though I was raised by a different man, I kept my last name just because I didn't want it, I didn't want it to be erased. But yeah, so I don't know a whole lot of the Stroups history, but I'm fascinated. Like I would want to do like 23andMe, but I'm scared they're going to I don't know what's up with the database and what's going on. But I love ancestry stuff. I wish I knew all the way back. I find it fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
But I can't speak to that. It's so wild because, I lived outside of Anniston for like 5 years. That's where Jacksonville State University is.
Yeah.
I know where Morgan County's not far from where I grew up. I mean, all of if you were a detective, she would be right by going, all these pieces seem to fit.
Right.
But I'm kind of a transplant Stroup, that randomly moved to Alabama.
Well, they're claiming you.
Yeah. I love that. The more Stroups, the better. I have no problem with that at all.
Well, there you go, Sarah. The answer is maybe, and if not, you're still just stuck being related to me.
Yeah.
Who I'm related to you.
Yes.
She can say she's related to 2 comics.
That's right.
This one and this one.
I mean, I wish it was true, because if we could just tie the dots to where I'm related to y'all, it would be the wildest thing.
It would be fun.
It would be fun. It would be fun.
This is the thing that family sometimes doesn't know the things to say to comedians.
Yeah.
And you're such a crusher, and you have a reputation, and you're from the South, and people claim their own,
For sure.
Which we're getting here as well. And Sarah, we saw them when we did that Ryman gig, and she goes, "How was following Derrick?" And I'm like, I held my own. I'm a pretty strong comic.
Dude, you're a killer, man. You're a
but
killer.
It was just the look of their eyes. They're like, how did you do? I was like, all right.
No way.
I'm doing all right. I got some bits. Now, I had to come out a little hotter than I normally do.
No, it was a hot show.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a hot show too.
Thank you. Thank you for answering my sister's question.
Of course. No, I loved that.
Good thing you're wearing your sweaty. This is meant to breathe, not mine. But
not yours.
That's a mistake. I have a different one. Okay.
Dry fit only. Okay. I've got Wade here. How has married life started for you?
Sorry.
Oh, it's.
And I got a follow-up. What's his wife think of Harvest, Alabama?
Are you married? You're engaged.
I'm married.
Oh, you're married?
Yeah, I got married 2 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all good. We haven't posted our wedding pictures yet.
Okay.
Because Alyssa's just really going through them, but we're gonna post it soon. But it's awesome. The wedding was great. Being married, I've only been married for a couple weeks, but I love it immediately. I was telling one of my buddies this. I love it does feel a little different to me. I love knowing that it's finalized and done, and that's my wife. I'm her husband.
Yeah.
And it's I guess we're in a happy relationship, so it's exciting. I'm pumped.
Yeah. Well, I got a marriage book for you.
Yeah.
Hey, that's great, man. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, let's do like.
All right, I got one more.
One more.
Adam says, I'd love to know the differences between performing in clubs versus the theaters. And I think he might mean the arenas with Nate. That's what.
Oh, yeah,
I think that's what he's getting at.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He asked me my take on that, too, for the record.
Oh, and he did want to know what Dustin thought, too.
Yeah. I mean, I bet we have pretty similar. For me, at least, it's just slowing down. You know, when I'm in a club, the thing that I like about it is I can press the gas.
Yeah.
And that's really where I came up learning how to do comedy, was in Comedy Works, low ceilings, kind of backed into a corner, and it really played to how I like to be on stage.
Yeah.
So in theaters, I slow it all down and, you know, just try to take it back a notch so it can reach the whole room. And same thing with arenas. Arenas, you slow it down even more. I mean, it's just to almost, for me, it feels like I'm barely talking on stage. But that would be that would be the biggest difference.
Yeah, those arena ones, sometimes you got to really, they're scary because you got to really land that punchline and not do any of like maybe some like the ticks you do, not ticks, that's the wrong word, but like there's certain things you do in a club rhythm wise.
Yeah, quick tags.
Yeah.
Aren't going to work in an arena the same way they would a club.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, when you watch Nate's last special, it's so deliberate. It's so paced, and it's the first, I think it's the first hour that he built in arenas, or he toured mostly in arenas, and it makes sense because it is just like, you know, just like here's a line, sit.
Yep.
Now 15,000 people need to hear this.
That's right.
And respond to it.
Yep.
And then gets back to me, you know. But do you have a preference?
The arena is just like so cool, and I'm like proud to just be part of something like that Nate's doing. I don't think that there's anything cooler than crushing, like for me, I can't speak on like theaters or arenas, but just as like a headliner, a sold out room in a comedy club of people that enjoy your comedy.
Yeah.
And you're just giving it to them.
Yeah.
That feeling is tough to beat. You know, I love being guests on shows and I love doing my part, but there's just nothing better than the people that are like, this is our guy. You know? Yeah,
the crushing in a club, it's, you know, it's, like I've said before, like not literal ceilings, but like the ceiling emotionally of how good a show can get is highest in a club.
Yes.
It can be the most rocking that a show can get. However, the basement is much lower too.
That's
Some of the worst shows I've ever had have been.
Hands down.
And these shows in theaters, people are out, they're happy to be there. It's like a total different energy in there. Yeah. So, but you know.
And I mean, you might feel this way. Like when I'm out with Nate, I don't know how to like, I mean, it feels like it's like a work field trip. It's not nearly as, I don't have to worry about ticket sales and all these other things.
Yeah.
I'm just a guest on somebody's really awesome weekend.
Yeah.
And so like that part I enjoy because very rarely in comedy do we get to have such a stress-free weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Where I'm like, I'm going to have a latte, ride a scooter, cruise around.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do jokes for 18,000 people.
For 8 minutes.
For 8 minutes.
Yeah.
It is like relaxing.
Yeah. It's very easy. Yeah. I can only imagine the pressure of like those sales, the arenas and stuff, you know, which is why I'm not an arena act. Otherwise I would be.
I know.
You know,
I've heard that you've turned down.
If I didn't love clubs so much, I would be an arena act.
I've heard you.
Just some purity of the game thing.
And you don't want the parking to get crazy for people. And that's one thing I hear Dustin always goes, can they park? And they go, we don't know. Dustin goes, I'm out, man.
You know what's funny? You say that in San Diego, one of the main reasons I play the club that I do in Claremont is it does have the best parking. I have parent fans, and it's centrally located because when you have a lot of parent fans, they're like downtown.
Yeah, that is
I'm going to have to get on Spot Hero. I'm going to have to reserve a thing. So, well, thanks for doing this, man. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's get the AC on. Oh, plug some dates.
Thank you very much.
This is coming out next week, so you want to plug some dates? What do you got coming up, man?
I will be next
Funny
week,
Bone,
June 6th and 7th, Omaha Funny Bone. And then June 12th, I'm in Colorado Springs. The 19th, I'm in Buffalo.
Loonies. I know Loonies, baby.
I still got love for all Loonies.
I got a great Looney story.
And then Hartford to end out the month. But
that's nice.
Thank y'all so much for having me.
Thursdays, do they still do Whirly Ball?
No, I don't think so.
That was fun.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, want to give a special thanks to our As Essential as Oils patrons. That's our $25 a month and up. Thanks so much for supporting the podcast. That is Adam Bush,
Avril Griffiths,
Allison Nelson,
Andy and Darlene Gurton,
Bonnie Galindo,
Brandon Schoenberger,
Carrie Teague,
Chris Finn,
Christopher and Bridget Finland,
Code to Grow,
Courtney Eibling,
Damaris Diaz-Stevens,
Daniel Owens,
Dave and Melissa Cox,
Dave Hoagland,
Dustin Daly,
Jason and Francis White,
Jen Thurk,
Jonathan Rivera,
Jordan Cowan,
Juliana Smith,
Lori Amos,
Lauren and Nick Rachel,
Matt and Sam Slosdom,
Michelle Carlson,
Nick Cordell,
Norman Perron, Norman Perron. I'm sorry, Norman, you're the best. You're my favorite one.
Preston and Rachel Wilson,
Rachel Kennedy,
Raina Camps,
Robert and Nellie Capen,
Scott Elliott,
Stephen Menya,
and Tiffany Payne.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.